Greetings. Hello. Hopefully everybody's having had a good week. Fresh new 2026 intro. Fortunately, that just completely wipes out the 2026 budget. So who knows where we go from here. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. Keep your heads up. Keep breathing. Unclench those jaws. Let's all do it. Let's just kind of sit back, take a deep breath. No matter where you're coming in from, you're loved. You're loved in the dental industry, right? We're all in this together. We're all in this dental industry battle together. I play a small part in that. My next guest hails from one of my most favorite places on the planet, the province of Alberta. Huge shout out to all the amazing things that are coming out of the Alberta province. I always butcher these things, but not to ruin this, but truly, in my career journey, I've had the absolute pleasure of working in the province of Alberta, through Calgary, through Edmonton, even through Red Deer and all the surrounding communities around. There are some amazing practices, clinicians and teams that are doing fantastic things for their patients, laboratories. I'm bringing on, that's my next guest here, alluding to that, laboratories, and dental innovation itself. There seems to be this really cool hub of thought and community that is happening in the province of Alberta. And I'll be honest, when I go out to Alberta, the hospitality out there, Alberta truly is the heart of Canada. We're so fortunate I'm so fortunate to call a lot of Albertans friends, this is my next guest coming on here. It's hopefully we're friends. Without further ado, let's just bring him onto the show here. Robert, it's good
Mark,
to see you.
hello.
I've been really looking forward to this conversation. Little history for the audience. We spent a brief amount of time. I got on with, obviously, you're the VP of Business Development at Aurum Ceramics, doing lots of great things, been following your work. Lots of changes happening, but you and I started. We started in Vancouver, working beside each other. I'm like, oh man, this guy, it's going to be so great to work with this guy. He gets it, smart guy. And then you took off to Calgary, and then COVID hit, and then the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
How is that transition moving from Vancouver? Now it's been like 5 years now. Like, time flies. How has it been? It's been a fun journey for you. I know you're really deep and entrenched and doing lots of great work, and Aurum's seen a lot of great changes, a big reorg, to just kind of, and we'll jump into this too. Like, the laboratory scene's really changing, so you got to evolve with that market. So I've said a lot of things here. Let's start off by, how is that, like, transitioning your family from living in Vancouver to then moving to Calgary? We'll start there.
A big change. And first of all, hey, thanks for having me on. You've got some phenomenal guests, so I hope I can live up to it. But yeah, our let's call it a bromance. Let's just say what it was. A bromance in Vancouver was way too short.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I always said, moving from, we were in Yaletown, downtown Vancouver, to here in Calgary, is a dramatic change in and of itself. And then doing that literally a week before COVID lockdowns happened in a brand new city, we didn't really know a whole lot of people, was crazy. So I've got an incredibly supportive wife. My daughter was really young at the time, so we had the opportunity to explore. But again, was really thankful to have the opportunity to grow within the Aurum Group. Starting off as a lab manager, really covering most of BC, and then moving here to head office. It's been a phenomenal change for me. for our family. We love Calgary, certainly miss Vancouver. I think, it's coming up almost exactly on 6 years. And so we, I don't think we have any regrets other than we'd just love to be closer to the water. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. There's some water there. You get the river runs through the middle of the city, right? Do you ever get down to the river? Check it out.
Yeah, I know we actually haven't floated down the river yet. It's been 6 years. And the float season down the river is only like 4 months before everything freezes over again. So, it's been, it's good. We like Calgary. The really, really cold weather in the winter is tough to deal with sometimes, and the dryness, but there's so much happening, from a technology standpoint. Obviously, Vancouver's got, their innovation hub. Calgary is really seeing a lot of that as well, too, not just in the dental space, but in the tech space as well, too. We've got, the platform innovation hub downtown. So it's really a growing city, not only population-wise, but evolving their industry. And it's not just oil and gas anymore. There's so many industries that are founded here. And dental is a big hub here in Calgary as well, too.
Yeah, it really is. Case in point, that facility, like the Aurum building it's quite the spectacle. Like six stories. There's activity happening on every floor. There's a lot of great folks, in that building with, the pulse of the industry. Case in point that like the cosmetic aesthetics floor is, I think, second to none, and arguably, we can talk about that being worldwide. Like, if we talk about just go and check out Dr. Gordon Chee's work, like what you guys are doing in that department is phenomenal. Let's backtrack now. So you moved to Calgary. You're diving in. What sort of like, what was the, that whole transitional period with, groups coming in to sort of do the restructure, and what spurred that on? Was it outside pressure? Was it the market was dictating it? What were like the three main factors in pushing those changes forward?
I mean, number one, we're always innovating and looking to optimize our production. So that was number one, is how can we do things more efficiently? I mean, as a laboratory, the margins aren't crazy. They aren't there. So we've always got to look at how can we streamline everything from case reception and communication with our customers to production out the door. How can we make that as efficient as possible using all of the technology, but also making sure that our team members are talking to each other, right? In any given case, because we are a larger laboratory, you probably have 6 or 7 technicians or employees between customer service, model room technicians, or the milling and printing team. You're doing setup, wax up, whatever it may be, digital CAD designers, to the actual team running the mills, to the finishers, to the quality control, and then back to customer service. So I think that was really the main driver of it all, is really optimizing how our team communicates, because a lot can get lost when you're transferring from technician to technician. And if multiple of them are talking to the customer for various reasons, if we're not on our game with taking notes, a lot can get lost, for sure. Lost in translation is one of the biggest challenges that we have, one of the biggest challenges that every lab has, really. Yeah. So that was really what spurred it on. Even literally till today, I walk through the lab, I take a tour, people are sitting in different spots. Like if you came back and saw us, Mark, you'd see all over the place. We're constantly optimizing physically where we sit, where we move casework, where we're moving designers, to make sure that it's as seamless as possible, not only for us, but for our customers as well. So.
Well, goodness, if we take a look at the technology that's being introduced at the front end of the industry, chair side, milling and the whole digital game, it really, if you're not innovating and evolving, you're maybe falling behind really quickly. There's no question that a big portion of the business is posterior, single unit posterior, and up pops those bloody CERECs, or a roll and mill, and it's I was just in a practice in Abbotsford yesterday, and he's been using the CEREC for 4 years, and he's really happy with it. So do you can't, like, competing against that is kind of swimming upstream, in a sense, right? And
Yeah, I would say it's actually even pointless. I mean, we've stopped fighting it and we've accepted it. I mean, if you were at the last IDS, unfortunately I didn't get to go, but my team was there, or our team was there, and they said there was an entire hall that had 400 different intraoral scanners and 3D printers.
400.
And you're like, whoa, like that's crazy, right? So,
Yeah.
I was at one of the big implant companies at their facility back in November, and it was all lab technicians, and they said, how worried do we need to be? And I represented the biggest lab in the room. I said, don't be, because it's going to happen. It's already happening. You have incredible scanners coming from overseas that are sub $10,000.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen, but there are still, of course, limitations, right? And it's easily the most common question I get. So now all of the supply companies are saying, what about, get a 3D printer. And that's great, but you have to have the ecosystem
100%
to support that in your office. It's exactly the same argument, or the exact same sort of paradox as the CEREC. I'm glad you brought that, because it's like, if you don't have someone to design the unit, to do the post-processing, what if it fails? How do you have the IT team to update the software to calibrate the machine?
Yeah.
All of those exact same things apply to an intraoral scanner, apply to a 3D printer. So if you don't have that ecosystem in your office, or the volume to justify it, then you just might want to reconsider. It's not as easy as click, select night guard, boom, it's done, put it in the patient's mouth.
And I can attest to this. Like, I've got a good breadth of the folks out there, and support wise, like this is there's a lot of moving parts to these pieces of technology, right? And when they're down, it's it's a nightmare for them. So there are some really, I can name some names, but I won't. There are some great distributors that have that support, and there's also some that they're still on this kind of learning curve with it themselves. A couple distributors in town have some folks that have been doing it for 25 years, been selling the CEREC. So, that maybe is a winning strategy. But, incoming the laboratory, this is like you got carbons, like the equipment, the list of equipment inside the facility is like so impressive. So obviously there's a lot of knowledge behind that too. When we talk to sort of patient outcomes, that's the name of the game, right? So the laboratory, we can jump into the sort of the educational side of things too. Like that's sort of the winning strategy. I'm sure we'll dive into that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really said something important, and that's we've all got the same end goal, and that's what is the optimal outcome for the patient.
Yeah.
So again, going back to why I'm not concerned about the CEREC, I mean, of course I am, but ultimately, when we got these 400 new printers and intraoral scanners coming to the market, if that makes it better for the patient, if it makes it better for the office, that's the win. We're here to serve the patient as well too. Yeah. Now with those limitations, if you bought that printer or that CEREC or, from someone, not us, you're doing the single onesie twosies, you might call us and say, hey, I can't figure out how to get this to fit or how to process it. You can give me a call. That's part of, like you said, my education with my customers. I just hope that at the end of the day, you remember that when you need to do that full arch case, that you're going to give me a call, or at least I'm one of the calls that you're going to make for sure, because it's so, I suppose you could do a full arch and mill every single unit, on your CEREC if you really wanted to. But we're in the business of a full arch. So. And
I think, aesthetics are like, there's no way that could be done in like anything anterior is B. If you're milling with CEREC and an anterior case, like,
there's still a lot of handling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's still a lot of handwork and a lot of assistance. And if you have your own in-house technician to do it, that's great.
Yeah.
But to really get those world-class aesthetics that you see
Yeah.
um, from us, shameless plug right there, from us, then, it takes a lot of education, not only from a technical school, but going to some of the other education and conventions that our customers go to. So, some of
Yeah.
the schools like Hoyce, LVI, Pankey, Spear, Dawson, whatever. If you don't understand those occlusal philosophies, the aesthetic philosophies, your CEREC is only going to get you so far.
100%. And that's sort of my next good segue to the next portion. And I will, like, shameless plug on my end too, like globally, if there's anybody, give Aurum a shot at a full mouth. Like, you will not be disappointed by their work. Function, right? I think that's where the laboratory really plays into things. Like, when we look at sort of the core issue of things and how things are moving in excursion, that's the name of the game. And I think having the RDT, the knowledge of the laboratory in the back corner to help, let's make sure that these folks are their investments lasting, right? Lasting a lifetime, hopefully, but a lot of that is up to the individual patient and their care for their investment. But you touched on occlusion, and these bases like the COIS and the LVIs. That's a really interesting piece too. Like, how many successful doctors out there are upgrading their knowledge base and attending these courses? It's the communication in between laboratory and clinic is that much more enriched. I think the more knowledge there is, like, how beneficial is it? And let's sort of dive into that importance of just the education base behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's critically important for the whole treatment ecosphere. I mean, you've got the dental schools only take you so far. I mean, the education is great, but when you really where it really starts to excel, the relationship in the treatment ecosphere for the patient, for the dentist, for the surgeon, and us, is we're all on the same page, and leveraging modern technologies, because in the academic world, it takes time to change the curriculum. It takes time to invest in the capital equipment. Whereas in real world practice, you can be a lot more current when it comes to that. So we're seeing a lot of technology, jaw motion trackers coming from all over the world. We're seeing software validation with intraoral scanners, which allow us to, while the patient is still chairside, validate an all-on-X restoration within less than 10 microns in a passive fit. All through this wonderful thing that we're experiencing called AI. Yeah. And so I would say, as a dentist, you've really got to understand the foundation. And so if you're, 3 to 5 years out of school, you understand, at this point, you've probably got a pretty good understanding of real world practice. That's probably when you're really in the sweet spot, if not even sooner, to say, I'm going to go to these institutions. I'm going to understand fully the tools that are at my disposal to really elevate my game to the next level. And that's also why we're there, because it's changing literally daily. I think, our CEO, Mark Meyer, likes to say, and it's very true, AI is the worst it's going to be today. Yeah. It's only going to get better all the time. And so that's, we're constantly at these events, talking. I think literally every week we have a new product, a new vendor, a new supplier approaching us saying, hey, can we work with you? Can you help us bring this to market? Or can you give us some feedback? Because it's a constant onslaught of innovation, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Aurum is so well vertically integrated, the moving parts. Let's dive into sort of those tentacles, 3D core. Let's jump into how all these little pieces work together to make this amazing machine.
Yeah. I mean, so you're right. We are entirely vertically integrated, both digitally, analog. So yeah, we have a full milling centers at our production facilities in Calgary and in Ottawa and in Spokane as well too. So we've taken everything in house. There's maybe a few things here and there which we'll outsource, or we like to call it smart sourcing, to partners where the capital equipment just makes sense. It's a very focused product. And then we'll bring it back.
The knowledge too, right? Like it's a big deal.
Exactly. Yeah. There's limitations to us, and whether or not investing in that capital equipment fits our business model. Things like a great example is printing metal frameworks or partial frameworks for dentures. Those machines are incredibly expensive. Yeah. And it takes, some of the suppliers in the market, it took them a really long time to get the secret sauce, the powder, the secret sauce right to bond with the lasers to print it. But then it also took a lot of dental technology knowledge to get it fitting right, to get the parameters right, to get the printing right. So on the edges, things like that, to really have kind of a feather, really thin fit, and a passive tight fit as well too, with retention. So that's just one example. The software is moving so fast with regards to automating from reception of a case to spitting it out of the machine. We've got a director of R&D and a director of digital technology, and that's what they do. That's their job, is to look at that. And I'm glad it's not me, because my brain doesn't function that way. But to have to say, okay, we're on this version of the software. Now I've got to change 30 seats over, and I've got to make sure all the modules that I had plugged in for everyone are updated and installed, because, if you just go to update your phone or your computer, sometimes the icons are missing, or the functionality is totally different.
Yeah.
We can't afford that downtime, right? But you're totally tech savvy too, Mark, so you totally understand. Downtime is no good for us at all, especially if it's like, if we're updating an install on ExoCAD or 3Shape, if we're down at all, we've got to make a whole ton of phone calls to say, I'm so sorry, doctor. We updated our software and there's something wrong with it, and it's going to be an extra day. And you never know what the story is behind those cases, right? So we have to be really careful.
I've had the privilege to, have a couple of those conversations. They're not fun. Transparency is important too, but these things are, again, like back to the point of how bloody like fast things are changing. And when we talk to just software alone, with the infusion of AI, all sorts of different aspects, it's an amazing time to be alive, actually, to see things go from this analog world to this digital world. Like you even see the spectrum out in the market. You'll visit a practice that still has the paper charts even behind the receptionist. I've even had like a client that was like penciling in the schedule. But, Dorothy had this amazing process for the last 50 years, right? So just keeping up.
I guess I would say, hey, if it works and your patients are happy and things are fitting, I guess, good on you for sure, right? Like,
But from my space too, like part of my my day to day is helping practices market and telling their story. So the more educated the public gets on, hey, this doc's got a CBCT, they can take 3D images, and this is what it means to go to this practice, right? This information is so important. And, what laboratory they work with too, like kind of backtracking a little bit. Any new associate or new doc coming out of school, they should go for a tour, like especially if you're in the Calgary area. Call up Aurum and go for a tour. Get a really a deep breath of that. Is sort of like the cutting edge of the technology. You don't see what you see on the floor in a laboratory in a clinic. Like these some of these machines, and you refer to the sort of the fabrication of these metal type, like all the different materials for the partials, the frameworks is it's really impressive. And you're talking about like we're talking about microns of accuracy.
Yeah.
It's if you're a nerd, it's amazing. Like it gives
Yeah.
you goosebumps walking around that floor.
Yeah. I mean, if you enjoy the technology thing, or even if you have it in your own practice, I mean, we host what's called the Innovation Tour. So
Yeah.
we designed it to be bring your team,
Yeah.
bring your team, bring a couple cases with you if you want.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it right then and there. You can say, okay, I have this case, it's not fitting, or I need to understand what type of bite I need to take, what type of scan, whatever. So specific to what you want to optimize. I mean, you may not have a challenge, but you just want to really streamline it, make the wheel extra round or perfectly round. Bring your team in. We'll, coffee, donuts, whatever it is you want to do in our education center. And we'll take you through a tour of the lab, and let's connect you with the technicians, with the managers, and just say, what seems to be the problem, doc? Or, and that's really, I think, if it's us, if it's another laboratory with the doctor, that relationship is so critical.
Huge.
I heard, again, back when I was down in, with one of the bigger implant companies, they had previously just hosted with all of their biggest customers a forum, and they said, how can we help you grow? How can we help you streamline your operations? And the overwhelming feedback was, help us be on the same page and tighten our relationship with our labs.
Yeah.
Which is so critical.
Well, when it comes to the laboratory too, like when you consider the conversation chairside with when it comes to options, like if you have a good breadth of what the shopping list of things that a place like Aurum Ceramics can produce for a patient, that's a powerful thing, especially in this type of economy, to have sort of a varying degree of options for patients. Like, again, that relationship, like coming out of school, find a good mentor and find a good laboratory that knows what the heck they're doing, that has a good breadth of and a good scope of things, right? So
you said the word mentor. I've seen that so much, especially in the last 6 months. Some of the shows, the symposiums I've been at, really is like, that seems to be the overarching theme, is a lot of the experienced clinicians who are in their, let's say, late 40s, mid 50s, are like, the level of education that they see today is incredible. And they wish they had that when they were getting out of dental school 20 years ago. And they're saying, how can we pass that on to someone else? And they're saying, we need to create a greater sense of community, a stronger mentor-mentee relationship. And things like our relationship with Seattle Study Club and a number of different affiliations, that is so much of their message. And so we like to be, or we try to be anyways, a catalyst for that, to say, hey, you want to get into this new product? I'm going to connect you with this doctor who's already doing it. You can pick their brain on a clinical level and see, is it going to work for you? That happened to me at Seattle Study Club Symposium. Actually, we were looking at our full arch product, and a periodontist came up to me and he was asking me all these questions, and I'm just the silly, good-looking marketing guy. So I could answer sort of the base level workflow. And he's like, "How do we manage the bone and the tissue and all this kind of stuff?" Deer in the headlights, and it was like 6:30 in the morning too. Like, they were ready to go. It just so happened. No, this is a completely true story. As I'm talking to this gentleman, very nice guy, another one of my customers walks up right beside him, who has done dozens of the exact same case. And I said, hey,
the dental universe spoke.
Better. Thank you so much. I'm like, hello, meet this doctor who's done it all. Boom, connection, talk. This doctor is starting to do those cases with us, the original man who came up to me. So that connection, that mentorship, that camaraderie is so important, especially for newer doctors coming out of dental school and starting to get into some of the more advanced workflows, and not just
Yeah.
doing quadrant dentistry, which keeps the lights on, is important, but everyone wants to be kind of the full arch, emotional, smile changing, lifestyle changing dentistry as well too.
I do too. I'm just kidding. I
Yeah.
market it. That's it. Yeah, like we're not in the trenches. We can only just kind of help
Yeah.
guide people and tell the story. That's sort of my position. But like, how much of these, speaking to the folks that dive into these new pieces of technology or new treatments within the Aurum offering, like how much of Aurum success is due to the collaboration with clients, right? Hey, this isn't working. Like if we can make some of these subtle nuances, how
Yeah.
important is that collaboration too?
Incredibly important. I mean, there are certain customers who, of course, are like, no, just make it work. I've taken the impression I can't bring the patient back for whatever reason. Make it work. And that always makes us a little nervous because we maybe don't have the optimal impression, the optimal photos, but we want to be easy to do business with. We don't want to have to bring the patient back multiple times for multiple impressions, photos, whatever. So we will make it work and we'll stand by our work. Absolutely. That relationship is important. And if it helps our customers be more successful, have more, gain more trust from the patient, that's a win for everyone involved. Of course, we have customers who will call us for, maybe every step of the way and say, how do you want me to take this impression? What photos do you need? And from there, there is no doubt. And that optimizes the success in the long run. And ultimately, if it streamlines bringing down the number of appointments that the patient has to come in for, that's a win for everyone involved, financially, lifestyle, taking time off of work, less phone calls, etc. So collaboration, I think in the dental industry, and for the longest time, we've said we want to be a partner, we want to sponsor you, we want to be a partner, and we've actually started to say more now. I want to collaborate with you.
Yeah.
I want to be like this, like me and you. I want to
Yeah.
be a two-way conversation with you to make sure that the patient is leaving with what they asked for or what was prescribed in their treatment plan.
Yeah, we chatted a couple of weeks back, and even, I liked the fact, and I liked your answer for this too. It was that you were at some some Calgary event, and you had some other laboratories in the area come up and say, "Hey, thanks for developing this particular treatment." Like, I think at the end of the day, like obviously there's some healthy competition out there, but what if we're all just, collaborating even as competitors to just, we're all trying to push ourselves to the just better outcomes. Like I think like let's not try and cut each other down. This is a small community too. So I loved that. I thought that was like a stellar reply to, like how could you not respect that? Like, you know what I mean? So
it's the pure definition of keep your friends close and your enemies / competition closer. It's, the overwhelming, what I heard at that event was we're all trying to fight for the same piece of pie.
Yeah.
Let's make the pie bigger. Let's expand each other. Let's create a referral network. So
yeah,
if for whatever reason I'm at capacity or I can make pretty much anything you design, really. But if for whatever reason you want to work with someone local and you're not sure who because you're new to the area, you could call me and I could say, hey, yeah, John Smith from John Smith Dental Lab does a great job of this. Go see him. And then when John Smith, chances are, is not as big as our laboratory or doesn't have the full scope, and someone asks him to do something, he might send it to us. So the referral network is so powerful for sure. And I think that's something that, when I first got into the industry coming up on 9 years ago, I was a little surprised that doesn't exist, that, some of our biggest competitors historically don't ever talk to each other in a, hey, what are you doing? Kind of like a, what are you experiencing? I don't need to know your full game plan, your financials, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just to tell me about the trends. Tell me candidly, what are your thoughts on this new technology, this new product? Because ultimately, I do think a rising tide lifts all ships in this scenario for sure. The
Mm-hmm.
more we can get the industry to adopt to being more digital, it's better for all dental laboratories. Our
100%.
biggest,
Yeah.
our second expense is biggest expense is shipping,
Yeah.
right? So the more we can get digital and accuracy from
Yeah.
that is, I think, is a win.
And the fact that the laboratory world it's rapidly changing. So that conversation is just like another important pearl on why that's important to have these conversations too. Like, what are you experiencing? What has worked with that doc with a CERAC and a full, Dentsply Sirona 3D print, prime print situation? How do you best work with those folks? Like, rather than being, F that guy, like whatever he's made, and there might be some doctors out there that, like are putting up the middle finger when it comes to that position. Like, you guys were charging me so much money, but I think they're underestimating the importance of the value that comes behind the knowledge. That's like, let's talk about Hio. Like, how many years, and we can talk about Marc and Grant, like the years at the bench, like you can't, that's irreplaceable knowledge, right? And like, we can talk about the whole spectrum of folks that work in the laboratory. You can't replace, like, you can't jump inside, like AI will never be able to sort of, well, maybe it will, I don't know. As long as, you're jumping into the AI processes, but it's not going to be replaced, right?
No, I mean, you're talking, combined centuries and centuries of knowledge of cases of, Hio. I mean, you brought it up, and it's a great example from the age of 19 as a dental technician up until the throngs of COVID. He was still on the bench checking work. Yeah. This is a guy who, he truly loved what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right. And then, because of COVID and because of his age, he took a step back for, to make sure his health was okay, and nobody can fault him. My goodness. But, I was walking through it and we're all wearing masks, and I walked over and was like, he's still checking cases. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I said, he certainly does not need to be doing this. He's got a full team behind him, but he loved it so much. Yeah. Right. And same with, Marc is here all the time. Grant, living down in Spokane as well too, putting in the long hours because that's their passion. That's their legacy involved as well too. They've got personal connections with so many customers. It's hard for AI to replace that passion, to understand the tone in the conversations, the specific needs, the nuances in that. It's getting close, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you've met most of them as well too, Marc. I mean, we have people who've been with us for over 40 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They have innate knowledge of the industry, of different markets. Yeah. And there's, you can't, I don't think you can put a price tag on that experience.
Again, like, I spent, it was unfortunate the way that the dental universe takes course, right? I started in just before COVID and things, I was meant to do other things. But speaking to Hio, like, I remember I got to spend 3 weeks in Calgary, and like, I still, I will always draw on the knowledge that I got from being there. And I remember like the little training room that I sat in and I flipped through and did all these sessions with. I'll always remember Hio coming in and sitting, and it was just him and I having a conversation for about half an hour about the industry and picking his brain. And really cool guy. I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity to see him face to face. It's like, the magic, you get to see them, when somebody that carries that sort of There's just something about it that's
Yeah.
magical, and obviously, Mark and Grant I have a ton of respect for. They're innovating, they're passionate about their work, but this might segue into the Hayo Meyer Center for Dental Excellence. Like, how much has that become sort of the heartbeat of the business?
Yeah, I mean, it was truly a passion project. You saw it beforehand. It used to be our multi-purpose lunchroom, and we said we need to up our game here because for the longest time, Aurum Academy has been the spear point of growth for our business, but also we felt a sense of duty to increase or bring world class education, not just to Calgary but to the world. And so, you showed the picture there. That was a labor of love. Really cool story, which isn't really on the website. But we actually, when we started designing it, when we started outfitting everything, we actually had Mark's daughter, Hayo's granddaughter, helping us. So the passion that came through with that was incredible. It was truly a full team effort with everyone in the building to bring through the AV, to connect it to our imaging center next door as well too, so we can do live hands-on, implant placement training and stream it into the center. But it's a really good size. I think we can fit comfortably about 36 people hands-on in that center, fully AV equipped. Beautiful. There's a 70-inch 7K projection screen and two TVs there. So we always joke that
7K.
it's a 7K projector, crazy sound system. Super Bowl's coming up. I haven't planned the Super Bowl party there yet, but I think you know what, that would be amazing.
Hey,
We actually have a course going on in there, so we
can
can't.
we talk to Mark and Grant? I'll come to Calgary
Right,
for
we
that.
should. We should. There's actually a tongue tie course going on in there, so we can't kick them out. But
Oh
um,
man.
I know, but it's truly an incredible facility. We've been fortunate to have a great response from the community. We've done everything in there from first aid training to CPR to business and financial to networking receptions. We've filmed podcasts in there. It's been I'm very fortunate to be able to work here in Calgary and have full access to that space. So if I just need to go down and blast some music and work that way, I will.
Oh, so cool.
But it's a phenomenal space, and I think we did, naming it after Hayo. I think the team did a great job and in honoring his legacy, not just Hayo's legacy, but the family's legacy as a contribution to the industry as well. So,
Yeah, totally. I love it. I next time I'm through Calgary, I'm gonna stop by and check it out.
you
It,
better,
it
yeah,
looks phenomenal. I
yeah,
would, yeah, let's sit and listen to some tunes. That sounds awesome.
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, what's next? Like what's on the horizon? What are you seeing? What should folks be sort of hyper aware of that's coming down the pipeline? And just in terms of, we're talking about 3D printing, fully restored, like permanent crowns, like material wise, like what are you seeing out there that's sort of going to flip the industry upside down?
Yeah, I would say 3D printed crowns are here, but almost everyone that I've talked to and said, "Hey, what do you think about 3D printed crowns?" from all markets across North America, because our customers are all over North America. The general consensus is they're not permanent yet; they're semi-permanent. So I would put that as a long-term temporary if I'm trying to restore a bite, or if they're undergoing full mouth reconstruction and I need a semi-permanent crown. I would do that. But as a long-term permanent restoration, no, it's still going to be ceramics. It's still going to be something different.
What about
What we're seeing on our side,
inlays and onlays? Is that a
yeah,
viable?
inlays and
Yeah.
onlays, I would say is definitely more long-term, of course, but as an actual full kind of crown replacement, um, what I'm hearing is not quite yet. There's not enough long-term research. There's not enough options in the market to really say long-term. Um, what we're really hearing and what we're seeing now truly is this term called medical dental integration.
Mm.
What we're really starting to pop up in our ecosphere. I was just talking with a doctor last week at Symposium. She said all of last year, all of her education was medical education,
Oh,
not dental, which is incredible. She was saying, for the most part, if you get a blood plasma or platelet report from a doctor as a dentist, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And vice versa. If you're talking about dental planning to a medical doctor, they might understand the base concept, but not the bigger picture of it all. So medical dental integration and looking at, you can bring up the studies of
yeah.
how many indicators in your oral health can lead to other indicators about heart disease,
Oh, yeah.
about, it's incredible. There's more than 100. There was just a study in Japan as well too that linked. They had a sample size of, I think it was 390,000 patients, and they looked at what is their oral health, and they linked that the people who lived longer had better oral health. And so there's a full medical dental integration going on in the industry. And so that's really what we're looking at. We're looking at bringing a curriculum this year, still coming out soon. So I can't spill the beans or
No
spill the tea
beans.
too much.
Oh, come on, spill.
Yeah,
A
I know.
couple
I
of
wish
them.
I could. I wish I could
Yeah.
because it's truly exciting.
Yeah.
But really looking at not just, it's more than just teeth at this point.
Is it TMJ
Truly,
and airway stuff? Like, is it?
it's airway, it's muscles, it's joints,
Got it.
and then it's teeth. It's all of that, and it's early
Yeah.
adoption. It's looking for early signs. And people like our kids, Mark. We've got kids of the same
Yeah.
kind of age, looking at from the onset, making sure airway seems to be sort of the foundation, the linchpin to look at. If you're not breathing right from an early age of, let's call it even as young as 6 or 7, that affects so much of what you do in life, and then the sleep and everything else, right? And so that's what we're seeing is fix the airway, fix the cranial facial structure, or at least address it at the very least, and then from there set yourself up for success. You've got enough room, you can chew properly, you're digesting properly, you're breathing properly, and it all kind of stems from there. And so that's definitely what we're looking at, and what we're seeing as well too.
Fun. Yeah.
Some really interesting appliances to address that, using aligner therapy, using rapid palatal expanders, and yeah, I really like to see that. Going way back to your very first question of what was it like to move from Vancouver to Calgary? The healthcare system in British Columbia is structured differently than here in Alberta. And so, when we had to go and have some medical procedures done, things like that in BC, they kind of help you do a little bit of everything. Your general contractor or your general physician would take care of all of the referrals for you. Our experience here has been, you kind of have to fend for yourself and find your own referral networks. And so,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that there's a stronger integration between the two.
My helicopter's coming in. I don't know if you can hear that.
You know what? I thought it was a toilet flushing. I thought you were like the Oscars, like you were kind of slowly walking me off.
No.
We have helicopters. I'm sitting under my skylight, and we have helicopters here too. And I'm surprised we haven't heard one coming from my microphone. So
There you go. I beat you to it. It wasn't a kid or anything. What's coming up? I've got the events page opened up here. What are you excited about? What should people make note of? Obviously, come and go to the aurumgroup.com and go to the events page, and it's all up here.
yeah.
Oh, we got this just happened.
Yeah, that just happened. That's me. I haven't updated the website yet, but Dr. Westerson has been an incredibly collaborative partner with us for going on 46 years now, and his son is now taking over the practice. So, we've got the TMJ with Dr. Westerson is designed for hygienists. This is an incredible partnership we've got here with Dr. Amrish Khanna in Calgary. He's won a ton of awards as a founder of AuraQ, which is an incredible platform that links into your practice management software and gives your patients a risk score. Will also provide treatment recommendations for, if they notice there's things outstanding that haven't been completed for the patient yet. And again, all AI driven. He's a doctor. His wife is a doctor, or a dentist. His brother's a dentist. So he's in it. He's in it for the long haul. And so he's got his own mastership series, which is incredible. And then we have a whole slew of other things with some big names coming up. I'm just finalizing the dates as well too. Again, talking about medical dental integration. And so they're not on the website yet, but they will be soon. Looking at, we've got some partners with, Dr. Christian Leonard, Dr. Javier Vasquez, and Dr. Kana as well too. So really some innovative stuff coming. And then of course I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our imaging center here in Calgary as well too. So we do have a full service imaging center for our referral network. So and this is kind of what we're looking at, sort of as part of this medical dental integration, is looking at, if you don't have a CBCT in your office, if you don't have a jaw motion tracking device in your office, intraoral scanner, is bringing that service to local markets. Because one of the things we say, you can't treat what you can't see. You can't diagnose what you can't see. So raising the standard of inputs of imagery for what you're using to diagnose and treat is critically important to us, making sure we have the right type of information to diagnose the patient.
Sorry, is that image center is up and running? Is that something that people in Calgary can take advantage of? How would they go about finding out about that?
They can go to phase4ddiagnostics.com.
Okay.
And then they can book a patient from there. And so it's direct billing. So we don't handle any of the billing, goes all through the practice. And so it's supplemental services. So we have a Plan Mecca G7 CBCT.
Nice.
We've got intraoral scanners, and we have the jaw motion tracking as well too. So this one is phase4d.com. You're spilling the tea for a little bit here. This is a movement that we're working on. If you go to Phase4D Diagnostics, that is our center in Calgary, our imaging center as well too. And that is where they can send patients. Yeah. So anyways, that second link there, Mark, that you're showing on the screen, that is our imaging center. And from there, we can package all that imaging. We send it right back to you. We've connected with radiologists where they can interpret your radiology. And this all stemmed really from two things. One, what we've heard is similar services in Calgary, Toronto, et cetera. Yeah. There's a wait time to get patients in for these services, multiple weeks, and then another couple of weeks for the radiology reports to be interpreted by a certified radiologist and then sent back to the dentist or the surgeon. That's, for us, where that's a challenge is if you've got a patient in severe pain and needs dental treatment right away, they're going to have to wait. They're going to have to wait longer in pain. At our imaging center here in Calgary, there's no wait. I could take your patient in today. That's awesome. Then a 72-hour turnaround because we've got a connection to a network of radiologists. They can interpret it. They're board certified, Canada and the US. Send it back. You take care of all the billing with your patient. I will bill you. You bill the patient, et cetera. So that's really, again, talking about being a catalyst in the network. Yeah. We're trying to be that catalyst to serve the patient better, serve a need in the market. And then hopefully you remember when you go through all of that we can also help create the restorative products as well too.
So when are you building an imaging center out in Vancouver?
Once the price of real estate drops quite a bit, then you can do that, okay?
Well, I don't know. There's some crazy shit going on right now, so maybe that'll be sooner than later. Yeah. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, maybe we'll have to come out into the valley near you, Mark, and where the prices are slightly more palatable.
There you go. Yeah. $1 million for just a plot of dirt. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's pretty wild, but I can just look out my window here and see the mountains. I guess that's what I'm paying for, but
that's right.
Man, oh man. Robert, what else could we touch on? We covered so many things. I think obviously would love to have you back on, do this on the regular. The amount of information and innovation that's going on at your fingertips is man, oh man, I can see that you're passionate about it too, and you're having a lot of fun, and I'm proud of you. I've seen your progression through it all. So good on you. Kudos to you, man. And there's a reason why you're wearing that green jacket right now.
Yeah, I sadly did not win the Masters, but I'll take my green jacket anyway.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I would love to be on again, and we can deep dive into something a little more specific and technical.
Yeah.
I guess, one of
Maybe
the,
I come to Calgary for that and we do like a full
yeah,
on.
let's do it. Let's do it in
That'd
the
be
Ohio
fun.
Center. We can set it in the
Yeah.
lab. We'll ask them
Yeah.
to stop grinding away at teeth so we can get good audio for it.
Yeah.
But I think, what I would like to leave everyone listening with is really something, sort of a philosophy or an approach, if you will, that we found has resonated a little more. And that's, as a laboratory industry, we know, as a clinician, you're working with 3 to 5 labs on average, maybe even more, maybe even less. You've got one for each of the different disciplines. And so I'm not asking you to switch. I'm asking if I can be one of your trusted labs. And we are a full service lab covering all North America, even a little bit in Europe as well too, but primarily North America. And we truly view ourselves as a dental solutions partner. And so whether that's through education, whether that's through innovative products like, Aurum Tech, whether that's through helping you leverage the technology you have in your practice already to unlock things, unlock revenue sources that you didn't know you had. A great, again, a really great quick segue is our simplest products, our denture products. If you have an intraoral scanner, you can start doing digital relines in your practice as it is. The biggest challenge is going to be the soft people skills to manage those patients. But for the most part, it's really 3 simple scans from, impression paste, reline material, and you can get it going. And by doing one digital reline a week, when doing one digital reline a week, you can add over $100,000 in top line revenue to your practice.
Yeah.
And so a lot of
And
people don't realize that.
you're not
Right?
just like, and you're not just throwing these things out to the wind. And there's systems in place so that, like, I know this for a fact, and this isn't a sales job. Like, this is like, if you aren't plugged into Aurum Ceramics, like the Aurum Group, you're kind of missing out, especially, in Western Canada alone. Like, you should be kind of aware of the breadth of what they really have the pulse of what's going on. So give them a shot. And I really like that. Like, they don't have to do everything for you, but I'm sure there's probably something in a conversation that a practice owner or a group that they're unaware of, that they can provide for their patients, that you guys are doing, like this imaging center. That's awesome. And like, let's connecting the medical world to the dental world. That's truly is the next step. So you guys you're running raw. You guys going after Glidewell now. That's what's happened. I see what's going on.
I'm not sure anyone can go after Glidewell. He's done an incredible job.
Oh wow.
I wish I had the team and the resources behind him. He's truly just on he's in another stratosphere.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying, but he's done a great job for sure. So small steps, right? So.
Small steps, baby steps. We're just like Canada up here, right? So, we'll catch up. We'll catch up.
That's right.
Robert, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. I was really looking forward to having this conversation. Like, let's keep in touch. Would love to do this again. And I'm not kidding. Like, I would love to come to Calgary and shine some light on all the amazing things that you guys are doing. I've seen it firsthand, and this isn't me just selling. Like, I'm making no promotional dollars off of this. Maybe that's the next conversation that I had. That I sponsorship spots, Robert, on the podcast. We'll talk after. I'm just kidding. But thank you so much for your time, buddy. I really appreciate it. And
likewise.
And have a great weekend, man. What's going on for the weekend?
Well, we got swimming lessons. We got it's actually supposed to be pretty warm here in Calgary, so I'll be hanging out with the kids and the family and trying to get outside in the middle of winter, which usually is not that possible. So outside time when the temperatures have a little plus in front of them is usually try to get outside and enjoy the beautiful area as well too. So, and I just wanted to say, Mark, thank you for having me on. It's been great to reconnect with you, and I hope I did it justice, and hope everyone has got some pearls of knowledge, and we'd love to connect on whatever platform. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find the Aurum Group on all the major platforms. And just lastly, kudos to you, Mark, for this podcast. You've had a lot of big names on. I'm the smallest of those names.
No.
A lot of big, really successful, really talented clinicians. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for growing it to what it is. And next time I'm going to have a cool background like you behind me. I'm going to.
You got the Hio Center with the 7K screen up, buddy. Like that's what you need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I thank you very much. I appreciate it. And like, this is like, it's such a passion of mine. And I'm so lucky to have had the conversations that I've had with a lot of great, like, we're so fortunate. This is such a fun industry to be in. There's so many really cool and quirky, but exceptional people in this industry that have, like, you know, and generational senses of talent and knowledge. And yeah, I'm just a small little guy here in Langley, BC, just trying to do my little piece of it, right? I'm like a little one-man army just trying to tell some stories about how cool this thing is. And I appreciate it. Thanks, Robert.
Keep it going. They need to hear it. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's it's tough when you're trying to get out of the house and your kids are sick. But like, that's, we talk about like getting beat up and all these things and shit happening. You just gotta keep going forward, right? And
Right.
You get kicked down or whatever might happen, and take your wins for your wins, and take your losses for a learning experience, and build and keep going. Like, you can get defeated in all this crap pretty quick. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
all right, buddy. We'll continue this another time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You betcha.